Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. I am back with another story time, and this story time is basically going to be focused on a love spell, not a love spell, I'm so used to saying love spells, but basically a beauty spell gone wrong. Basically it's like, what price are you willing to pay, well not necessarily pay, but what are you willing to give up for beauty? So stay tuned. So today is Alicia's story, and it takes place in a rural area of North Carolina. And so basically, Alicia was in her senior year of high school, and she ended up having to move to her grandparents' farm to help take care of the animals because her grandparents had become very ill and they were unable to do it for themselves. So Alicia, being Alicia, she was a sweetheart. She was the sweetest person you could meet, and such a loving person that, of course, she did not mind moving out to this farm so that she could take care of her animals. Now, the thing about Alicia, she wasn't basically like the prettiest girl, to put it that way. And because of that, whenever she went to school, she was really made fun of. She was picked on for her look. She was picked on the way she dressed. And it got to the point where the kids even, told her she smelled like cows, basically told her she smells like a farm and she needs to go home and she needs to shower. So it's like Alicia was, she got used to it, but deep down, all of the comments and all the jokes, of course, hurt her and got to her to the point where she was like going home and she was just analyzing her face, analyzing her hair, how she looked, and was just basically down talking every single aspect of her. Like, she felt that she was so ugly. She felt that she was unattractive. Why all of the boys liked all of the other girls and no one wanted to talk to her. And also, why didn't anyone really want to be her friend? Like, she had people who were nice to her, but she didn't have like an actual friend who she could rely on and talk to in school. So it's like Amanda just went on about her day and different things like that. Like, she would go to class, get picked on, teachers wouldn't say anything, and then she would go home, tend to the farm animals, and then also make sure that her grandparents are doing okay. So there was one time where Amanda was in school, and it was during lunch, and it was like a group of like quote unquote mean girls or whatever. They had came up to her and they were just basically looking at her, and they're just kind of like, Alicia, you are so ugly. Like, how can you be so ugly? Like, who has an ugly baby that looks just like you? And Alicia just ignored it. She didn't say anything. She just went ahead and just kept on eating her food and stuff. So one of the girls like took her plate, her tray, her lunch tray, and like flipped it. So basically all of Alicia's food basically flipped onto the floor. And then, of course, everyone started laughing. The girls were laughing. They were like, you're so ugly. You're so ugly. You eat like a pig. You dress like a pig and you smell like a farm. And so Alicia just went ahead. Alicia had very good composure. We'll just put it this way. She had very good composure despite any attacks that were basically put against her. So Alicia stood up and she just ran to the bathroom and she just started crying. She was so upset and she was so hurt, and she could not understand why nobody liked her, why people picked on her, and why people were so mean. And so Alicia ended up going home, of course, that night, and she told her grandparents basically what was going on. And of course, grandmother was just kind of like, oh, baby, don't worry about it. This is how people are, but you just continue loving yourself. You continue being who you are, and eventually your kind heart and your kind spirit will pay off. While those who are mean to you, they will dwindle away. So no matter what you do, continue doing you, continue being loving and kind, and continue, being a good person. She was like, you're loved, and I love you. Your grandfather loves you. Your parents love you. And that's all that truly matters. So Alicia was just kind of like, thank you, Grandma. She gave her a hug and, a kiss. And she's like, well, Grandma, I'm going to go ahead and go to sleep. I just had a long day today, and I do thank you for talking to me. And of course, Grandma's like, oh, you're welcome, baby. You're welcome. Go ahead, get you some rest, and, don't worry about it. Tomorrow's a new day, a new fresh start, and a new beginning for you to basically have a second chance and have another chance of life, because life is precious. So Alicia went ahead, did as she normally does. She went up and went to school. And of course, the kids did pick on her as usual. And so one of the mean girls came to her, and she was just kind of like, again, she was calling her ugly, asking her why she's so ugly. Why does her hair look like that? Why does she dress like that? And so Alicia just kind of like, well, the mean girl's name, I'm trying to think of names for these characters. Basically, she asked the mean girl, basically the leader of the pack. She was like, well, can you help me? She's like, I really need some help. I try to be pretty. I try to, do what I feel is best for my looks and stuff. And I just really, really need some help. So the leader of the pack basically just kind of looked at her friends like, and her friends kind of looked at her like, and so she was like, okay, Alicia, I got something for you. I'm going to help you. And this is going to make you beautiful. Everyone in the school is going to want to talk to you. All the boys are going to have a crush on you. And you can hang out with us. You'll be a part of our crew. And so Alicia was just like, well, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for you helping me. And I just really want to thank you for everything that you're doing for me. And so the mean girl, okay, the leader of the group's named Stephanie. So Stephanie was like, don't worry about it. She's like, tomorrow I will have something special for you. But you have to make sure that you do everything on this list that I'm giving to you, and that will make you beautiful. But you have to make sure that you do everything on this list. And Alicia was just like, well, yes, I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do anything at this point. And so Stephanie was like, okay, well, I'll see you tomorrow. So the next day came about, and of course, Alicia was happy. She woke up. She was in a good mood. She was like, yes, I'm finally getting ready to, become beautiful, and everyone's going to like me, and they're going to be attracted to me, and I'm going to have all this attention. And I'm just so happy that Stephanie is willing to help me. She's been so mean to me, but maybe she does have a good heart. Maybe she, somewhere deep down, she is a good person, and she just wants to help me. And so when Alicia went to school, of course, she ran up to Stephanie. She's like, I'm here. What is it that you want me to do? And so Stephanie just kind of looked at her, and she handed her a jar. Now, in this jar, basically, it looked like a mixture of mud, dirt, leaves, and it had like different little like herbs and spices in it. And she was like, well, Alicia, she's like, I want you to go home. When you go home tonight, before you go to bed, she's like, you need to take this stuff and you need to rub it all over your face. Like your entire face needs to be covered, and you need to go to bed and sleep in it. And basically in the morning, wake up and you wash it off. So Alicia looked at the jar, and she's kind of like, well, what is it? And Stephanie was just like, don't worry about it. She's like, you want to be pretty, don't you? And Alicia was just like, yeah, I do, but I want to know what's in the jar. Like, can I not know what's in the jar? And so Stephanie got in her face, and she's like, do you want me to take back the jar? I can take back the jar. And Alicia was just like, no, I'm going to keep the jar. I'm going to keep it. And so Alicia stuck it down in her bag. And then Stephanie handed her a letter. And she's like, not a letter, but a list. She's like, this is a list of all the things that you need to do tonight before you do the facial with what's in the jar. And so Alicia just kind of looked at the list, and she was like, call upon the four corners? What's call upon the four corners? And Stephanie was just like, oh, do I need to teach you everything? Do you not know anything? And Alicia was just kind of like, well, you want me to do this, but I don't know exactly what the four corners is. And so Stephanie was like, don't be a dummy. Google it. And so Alicia was kind of like, okay. And then she went upon the list, and it's like, while she was trying to read the list, Stephanie just kind of closed her hand up, and she's like, listen, we have to go to class. We don't have time for you to stand here and analyze the list. But whatever you do, make sure you do every single thing on that list in order. And so Alicia was just like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm excited. I'm finally going to be pretty. And so end of the day went on, and not Stephanie, but Alicia went home. And the first thing she did was run upstairs, basically. And her grandma was kind of like, baby, where are you going? Where are you going? You're not going to come and talk to me. And Alicia was just like, no, grandma, no, I just have to go. I have to do something real quick. I have a lot of homework. I got to get this done. And so her grandma was just like, okay, baby, okay. And so Alicia went ahead, she pulled out the list real quick and she just read over it. So it's like the first thing on the list was to call upon the four quarters. And so she, of course, Googled it and she's like, okay, I think I can do that. But she's like, where would I do it? And then she thought about it. She's like, well, I do have a lot of space because we live on a farm. So there's plenty of space for me to go outside and do that. And so she went on to the next thing. And the next thing was to drain a chicken, basically drain a chicken of its blood. And Alicia was just kind of like, drain a chicken of its blood? I can't hurt my babies out there. Those are my babies. I love each and every one of the chickens. But then she thought about it and she thought about Stephanie in her face saying, well, you do want to be pretty, don't you? And so she's like, okay, well, maybe if I pick, such, all of the chickens had names. She had names for all the chickens. So she's like, maybe if I pick Henry, because Henry's kind of old and, we were getting ready to kick him anyway. So she's like, I'll go ahead and drain Henry of his blood. And then after it said draining the chicken's blood, then she basically had to take that blood and rub it all across her body. So Alicia went ahead and did everything that was on the list, right? And it hurt her heart to have to kill Henry and drain him of his blood, but she knew she needed his blood in order to rub this on her body. So she went ahead, was crying some, rubbing the blood all over, her body, different things like that, just making sure that she was fully covered. And then she, of course, called upon the four quarters. She channeled them after she had Googled it. So she basically was doing something that she had saw off of Google, not necessarily saying that this was the best thing to do, but of course she channeled what she found from Google and ended up channeling the four corners. So she did everything on the list, and she ended up taking a bath that night. And before she went to bed, she of course opened the jar. She looked at it first, and she's just kind of like, oh, she's like, do I really need to do this? It looks so nasty. So she went ahead and unscrewed the jar, and she sniffed it. She's like, oh my God. She's like, oh gosh. She's like, this smells so nasty. Like, what is this? She just sat there and she looked at it and she sniffed it again. And she was like, oh, she's like, I want to be pretty. I got to be pretty. So she just went ahead and did it. Just started rubbing it on her face, trying to hold her breath while she was doing it. And she just put it all over her face, despite the smell, despite how it looked and everything like that. And she just sat there for a minute. She's like, did I really just put this on my face? Did I really just put this on my face? And she looked at herself in the mirror. And she just sat there as the goop was just dripping off her face and everything like that. And she just sat there like, did I really do this? But you know what? I'm going to be pretty tomorrow. I'm going to have clear skin. All the boys are going to like me. Stephanie and the other mean girls are going to want to hang with me. I'm going to be popular. So yes, this is worth it. This is worth it. So Alicia ended up going on to sleep. So the next morning, Alicia woke up, and of course she wiped all the stuff off of her face, washed it off of her face, and she was just looking at herself, see if anything had changed, anything different, like did her skin look clearer, did her smile look prettier. She was just basically looking for anything, any kind of detail to see if she could notice a change in it. And she really didn't notice too much of a change. Besides, she had like splotchy red splotches all over her face because of the stuff that she had put on there, and obviously her not knowing exactly what it was that she put on her face. So Alicia went ahead and went on to school, and she was smiling and happy and stuff. But she started noticing that, like, when she was walking past different kids, they were like looking at her kind of weird. It's like what's going on? And Alicia was just kind of like, oh, it's working. She's like, it's really working. Like, they're looking at me, and I'm starting to be pretty. I'm starting to get all the attention and stuff. And so with each person that she was walking by, one person kind of went like, oh, like that. And Alicia was just kind of like, wow, I must really, really be beautiful. Like, everybody is so surprised to see how pretty I am. And so she went ahead and sat down in class and stuff. And she was just, happy and everything like that. And she was in this class, she was in the same class as Stephanie, basically. And so she kind of walked past Stephanie, and Stephanie was kind of like, she just looked at her, but Stephanie had to control her face basically to play along that Alicia basically looked like this beautiful, wonderful thing. And Alicia was just like, hi, Stephanie, hi, I did everything that you asked me to do. And Stephanie just kind of like, yes, I can tell you did exactly what I asked you to do. So Alicia just kind of laughed, and she went ahead and sat down, and they were taking a test that day. So while she was working on her test, Alicia was writing, of course, answering the questions, and she saw like a splatter of blood hit the test paper. And she was kind of like, that's odd. She's like, where did that come from? And then another splatter came. And so she was just kind of like, is this my face? And so she touched her face, and as she touched it, it was like a piece of skin came off of her face. And it was like a chunk of skin, and it was blood. And she just kind of like, what's going on? And so she went like that, and she looked, and like both of her hands were bloody basically, and she had skin, of course, the skin from her face on her hands. And she was looking, and immediately she just screamed Bloody Mary. And so of course everyone jumps and looks back at her, and she's just like, oh, like, what's going on? And so she jumps up and she runs to the bathroom in the hallway basically, and she was just like in the mirror, just looking at herself and basically watching her skin fall off of her face. And she was just crying, and she was just like, what is going on? What is going on? She was yelling and screaming and panicking. And so the teacher ended up running into the bathroom after her, and it was like, Alicia, what's going on? What's going on? And Alicia's like, my face, you see my face? My face is, falling off. Like, I have, all my skin is falling. Like, what is going on? And like, the teacher was just like, Alicia, she's like, there's nothing going on with your face. There's nothing going on with your face. And Alicia's like, yes, it is. Yes, it is. And she turned and looked at herself in the mirror, and all she saw was just basically just blood. Her whole face was covered in blood. And she was like, my face is falling off. My face is falling off. And so she ended up running past the teacher and running all the way back home. And so when she got home, she immediately shot up the stairs to the bathroom. Like, she was crying, and grandmother was just like, grandma really was just like, what's going on? I can't move that fast to get to you. So what exactly is going on? And Alicia went, and she slammed the door when she went to the bathroom, and she turned and basically ran to the mirror, and she looked. But when she looked in the mirror, her face was completely normal. So she just like, what is going on? My face was just bleeding at school. But yet when I look in this mirror, I'm completely normal. And so she heard a knock on the door. And Alicia just kind of turned, and she was like, yes. And her grandma's just like, baby, are you okay? Is everything okay? Like, what's going on? And Alicia was like, nothing, grandma, nothing. Just go back downstairs. Everything is fine. And her grandma's like, she's like, no, Alicia, you sound like you're panicking in there. What is going on? And Alicia was just like, nothing, grandma. And so grandma's like, listen, don't make me bust down this door the way you talking to me. And Alicia just like, she's like, grandmother, I'm okay. But the whole time, Alicia just like looking at her face like, what the hell just happened? Like, I know I saw what I saw when I was at school. So she just kind of stood there and just staring at herself in the mirror and just looking and like, wow, like what just happened? And so once everything started settling in that she was still herself, she still looked normal and stuff, the next day she of course went to bed. The next day she went to school, of course, and was upset, embarrassed. And it's like when she walked past Stephanie and two of her friends, they were just kind of looking at her, and Stephanie was like, I told you you would be beautiful. And that's the end of the story. So I hope you guys enjoyed that story as well. And I'll probably do 2 more next week. I'll try not to take as much as a break as I did earlier. Well, these past 2 weeks, I'm trying to basically be consistent as far as with my posting. But I hope you guys enjoyed the story, and I thank you for returning to my channel. Of course, if this is something that you're interested in, I would love for you to subscribe. I would love for you to be a part of the family. I not only do story times, but I do other different like mystical, spiritual things on my channel. So go ahead and check out the other videos on my channel. And as always, you can leave any comments or questions in the description box. I couldn't get it out, but I thank you guys again for returning to my channel, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.